Hello again, rail fans, and welcome back to another video. We begin this journey on April 28th, 2022, and we are located at the Central Ohio Model Railroad Club in Worthington, Ohio. On this day, we were here to participate in the weekly operating session. After I put my trains inside, I walked up to the tracks to see if there were any trains coming before the operating session began. Sure enough, there was a train coming. When I heard the horn, I decided to go up on what the members here call Photo Hill to shoot this Norfolk Southern southbound intermodal train, which I have reason to believe is 21N, which it's just miles away from finishing its journey from Detroit, Michigan to Columbus, Ohio. After I put my train on the layout, I went back outside to see if there was another train coming, and sure enough there was one, which was an unidentified Norfolk Southern southbound mixed freight train going down the Sandusky district. After running my model train on the layout for nearly 45 minutes, I went back outside because I was done for the day, and I was hoping to see a couple more trains before I had to leave. What we're about to see here is my first catch of an extra train on Norfolk Southern. The train in question was NS I-34, which is an extra run of 234, an intermodal train that runs between Chicago, Illinois, and Norfolk, Virginia. What I didn't know of the train was it was equipped with foreign power in the locomotive consist, which came in the form of a Canadian Pacific AC 4400 CWM. After seeing the Norfolk Southern trains at the Model Railroad Club, we then moved several weeks later on to May 10th, 2022, and we are located at the Leap Road Railroad Crossing in Hilliard, Ohio, alongside CSX's Scottslawn Secondary. On this day, we weren't here to shoot any trains in particular, but rather the equipment that I was going to use to record said trains with. As you see on the screen, I borrowed a Canon DSLR camera and tripod from my graphics class in school to try out, and that was the main reason why we were out here today. Unfortunately, the train in question that we were here to see, which was I-147, our daily Columbus, Ohio to North Baltimore, Ohio intermodal train, was on the approach to Leap Road. My SD card in the camera ran out of storage. However, while I was recording with the camera, I was also recording with my cell phone simultaneously, which proved to be a smart choice because the SD card didn't have enough space to pick up the train. After seeing the I-147 at Leap Road, we then moved to the very next day on May 11th, 2022, and we are located at CP Kyle along the CSX Scottslawn Secondary at milepost 117. On this day, I heard that a X310 was traversing the Scottslawn Secondary with a pair of Union Pacific locomotives on point, and one of them was one of the recently rebuilt AC6000 CWs. I was hoping to catch these Union Pacific locomotives on X310 with the borrowed camera that I had, and after the SD card was cleaned out, and it would work fine. Unfortunately, this would not be the case, but I was not left empty-handed whatsoever, though, so let's see that. After waiting many lengthy minutes, a train actually did show up on the Scottslawn Secondary, which was CSX I-147, the Columbus, Ohio to North Baltimore, Ohio intermodal train, just like the one that you saw in the previous clip, but with a different set of power, a longer train, and different criteria. By the time he reached CP Kyle, he was going at restricted speed. That was because he was assigned by dispatch to go into the siding and let two eastbound trains pass him, and one of them was the X310 that we were after in the first place. We still, unfortunately, weren't able to see that train, however. Now, the footage that you just saw from the DSLR camera's perspective was pretty good, although I preferred the footage that I got on my cell phone a little bit better. I also left the railroad crossing sequence that the train played untouched for you horn fans out there, including myself, because that Nathan K5H equipped on CSX 126 sounded great. A little bit of time has went by since I-147 went into the siding before the headlights appeared of one of the eastbound trains that he was meeting here. I was hoping it was X310, but it actually turned out to be I-147's sister train, CSX I-146, the train that comes out of North Baltimore, Ohio, and heads to Buckeye Yard in Columbus with more double stacks. Once he got to the switch protecting the east end of the siding, he came to a stop so the conductor can reset it, as it was still set for the siding for I-147 to go into, which he has already done so. After the switch was reset and the conductor reboarded the train, as well as getting permission from dispatch, I-146 continued the home stretch between North Baltimore and Columbus. I-146 can typically run with a distributed power locomotive, or DPU, just like some of the other trains CSX runs these days, and today was certainly no exception. After seeing the two intermodal trains meet at CP Kyle, we then moved to the very next day on May 12, 2022, and we are located back at the Central Ohio Model Railroad Club in Worthington, Ohio. As always, we were here for the weekly operating session. However, as soon as we got here, I checked the tracks to see if there was any trains coming, and at first I didn't see any. However, as I was starting to walk back to the train club, I had a suspicious feeling that a train was coming. I checked the tracks once again and poof! Here came this unidentified Norfolk Southern northbound mixed freight train going up the Sandusky district. After catching the unidentified northbound mixed freight train going up the Sandusky district, it was time for me to start the operating session, and we didn't see any other trains for the rest of the night. However, on the next day, May 13th, 2022, we were out once again, but at CP 146 along NS's Dayton district in Lincoln Village. The reason why we were here was because I heard of this train parked on the main line next to the siding tied down. Norfolk Southern GE ES44AC number 8116 was pulling train 92X, a GREX ballast train. However, this particular ballast train is a bit different from a typical ballast train that you would see on the railroad. Considering GREX is a maintenance of way company, they have some specialized equipment to help out the railroads keep up with track maintenance. These trains in particular consist of a semi-permanently coupled together set which includes a conveyor belt car and a string of specialized hoppers. The train is connected by a series of drawbars and slides in between the cars so it can function properly when in operation. However, the ballast car at the end of the consist has a coupler on one end, so it can connect to other cars within the train's consist. While I was taking my pictures of the ballast train, I noticed that the signals on track 2 on the big mast at CP 146 indicated that there was another train coming. The colors that they were displaying were a yellow, over green, over red, or approach diverging according to Norfolk Southern signal rules. Unfortunately, for the time that we had, the other train that had this signal took too long to show up, so we eventually had to break off here. But I still thought the ballast train was a pretty neat catch. After seeing the ballast train, we then moved several days later onto May 19th, 2022, and we are located at the Route 161 railroad crossing in Worthington, Ohio, next to CSX's Columbus subdivision. On this day, we were going down to Worthington for the weekly operating session at the Central Ohio Model Railroad Club. As we crossed the Columbus subdivision, I noticed a green signal for a southbound train, and the headlights of said train in the distance. Considering I was right there, I decided to pull over and quickly catch it. The train we ended up seeing was a CSX southbound empty coal train as it was making a mad dash back to the mines for more loads. Considering we were on our way down to the Model Railroad Club, we could not stay for the entire train, so we had to leave after the locomotive of the train passed, so let's move on then, shall we? Once we got to the Model Railroad Club, I participated in the operating session for a good 45 to 50 minutes operating my model trains and having a good time with the other members. Once we reached a midpoint in the operating session, we decided to take a break and go outside. I walked across the street to the conveniently located Sandusky district to see if there were any trains coming on Norfolk Southern. As it would turn out, Norfolk Southern did have a train to send down the Sandusky district while we were outside, which was Norfolk Southern 194, a daily Bellevue, Ohio to Portsmouth, Ohio mixed freight train. After seeing the Norfolk Southern and CSX trains as we were going and coming from the Central Ohio Model Railroad Club, we then returned to the same location a week later on May 26, 2022. As per usual, we were here on this day for the weekly operating session. Before I had to pack up for the night, I decided to have a good old discussion with some of the other members while I was waiting to see if any trains would go by the club. Eventually, I heard the rumble of a northbound train that was traveling up the Sandusky district, which was a very early 2:33, a Norfolk, Virginia to Chicago, Illinois intermodal train.
Oh, look, it's an S.
As I've stated before, 233 is usually through this area in the middle of the night. However, if you get lucky, you'll be able to see this train in relatively good daylight, just like we were on this day. After 2:33 passed the club, I had to pack up for the day and go home, which now concludes yet another video. Now, as you saw, I didn't have too much time to go out and see trains throughout the month of May because it was pretty busy, and I had to take care of some higher priority things behind the scenes which ate up a lot of time. No matter the case, I hope you guys still enjoyed this. Leave a like and/or a comment down below to share your thoughts on the video. If you enjoyed the content that I produce, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and tapping the bell button to be notified when a new video gets posted. Anyways, that's all for now. This is All Ohio Railfan, signing off.